High-powered lobbyist Tony Podesta stepping down from the firm that bears his name after coming under investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller. Podesta today announced his resignation from the Podesta Group, one of several companies paid to do work for a Ukrainian organization tied to Paul Manafort as well. Podesta is the brother of John Podesta, the former chairman of the Clinton campaign. That's right, it is still a swamp. And the Obama campaign paid nearly $1 million to the legal firm that funded the opposition research group, or smear machine, behind the infamous Trump fabricated dossier. The payments began in the spring of 2016. Around the same time, the Democratic National Committee and Clinton campaign ordered that very same law firm to retain Fusion GPS. A mere coincidence? Possibly. Perhaps remotely possible, but possibly. Fusion GPS has been linked to Russia and is the target of a number of congressional investigations. Joining me now, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, now a senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research. Tony, let's go to these payments, Fusion GPS, the role of these Obama, Clinton, and the DNC. Yeah,
look, to your point, Lou, this is not like a swamp. This is actually more like a 1970s porno film hot tub. I mean, that's how bad this is. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. And let's look at how this is all kind of unraveling now. And
can we just leave it with swamp?
All right, we'll leave it that. So, look, what we're talking about here, not to put too fine a point on this, is espionage. The bottom line is this. By the Clintons opening up this Pandora's box, looking to find this dirt, or at least encourage the finding of it, they actually allowed for a foreign intelligence service, the Russians, to do what they always do. They fed false, misleading, and in some cases, I think, completely made up information about the president through this channel. And I think we need to treat this as an espionage issue.
That the FBI, at least among these agencies, but certainly it appears the FBI, may have played a role in actually funding the dossier.
Yes.
And secondly, we have a situation in which the agencies that should be aware of meddling, or whatever the expression, interfering with our elections, should have been aware of that and taken action.
Right.
But we know the president of the United States at that time, one Barack Obama, did absolutely nothing when he was informed that the Russians were meddling in our elections.
Because he knew, Lou, think about this, he knew what they were doing. That's why he did nothing to stop it. He knew that there would be something coming out of that relationship. Think about it. Why else would he not act when he knew that there was something going on?
There are a host of reasons, but the possibilities are narrower.
Yes.
It is that he did not want to interfere with those meddling.
Precisely.
So, but what does that draw us to in the way of a conclusion?
It draws us to the fact that I believe that he was aware, as well as the other members of the intelligence community and the FBI, that something was going on behind the scenes. My theory on this, we'll see if I'm proved correct on this, is that this dossier, along with everything else regarding the Russia collusion, was meant to be the heart in a defeated Donald Trump. That is to say that they were counting on Trump being beaten. They wanted him to be dead. And let's face it, we would not know any of this had Hillary Clinton come in and put her people in the Department of Justice and into the National Security Council.
Yeah, it's hard enough to get the Department of Justice to awaken and find some level of commitment to actually getting something done in the way of an investigation of all of this.
Where the facts actually lead them, which is not to President Clinton.
The facts lead us very straightforwardly and clearly and cleanly and directly to the need to investigate the Clinton,
precisely,
the Pay for Play Foundation, the Clinton Foundation, and all of the activities of the Secretary of State and the results of what looks to be quid pro quo, whether it's Uranium One, the list goes on.
Yes, sir.
Let's turn to the Manafort charges.
Yeah.
There is clearly the suggestion as well that Manafort may have been wearing a wire. But whatever it is, under investigation, the likelihood is that he was being at least surveilled. Papadopoulos was being surveilled and wore a wire. Where does this all go? I mean, if they had something from it, you would expect them to have
It would
that
have,
in an indictment.
it would have been, first off, it was really juicy. It would have been leaked out in some form way before now.
I mean, like the special counsel's office did Friday?
Friday, that's my point. Lou, I'm not a lawyer, but I've talked to a number who say that leaking grand jury information is a felony. Now, what does it say about justice if the man in charge of the investigation is actually doing things to break the law in a way to shape public opinion prior to the fact? So in my judgment, and we've talked about this a number of times, that leak of grand jury information justifies the removal of Mueller, whether he knew it or not. He's the chief. He's the captain of the ship. He needs to be moved out if he can't control his team. But I don't think there's anything there because they seem so desperate to get this stuff out now at this point.